Hello, I'm Chris. In this video we're going to have a look at how to do reverse bay parking using the 90-degree method. It's a manoeuvre that some people worry about, and one that you might have to do on your driving test, or once you've passed. I'm going to give you some easy tips to help you be successful at reverse bay parking to the left, right, and also how to correct it if it goes wrong, so that you still pass this part of the driving test. Reverse bay parking is safer than forward bay parking, as you'll have a better view when driving out of the bay. Although some drivers prefer forward bay parking, as you'll often have easier access to the boot once you've parked, which is useful if you've got lots of shopping. If your driving test centre has a car park and the examiner wants you to do reverse bay parking, then they'll either ask you to do it at the start or at the end of the test. Let's first have a look at how to reverse bay park to the left. Make sure that you observe all around before moving out of the bay. Be aware of pedestrians or other drivers, especially other learner drivers if you're at the test centre, and signal if it would benefit anyone. It's important to start the manoeuvre roughly the same distance away from the bays every time you do it, or your reference points, which we will talk about later, will change. I'll now select reverse gear and observe all around, including the rear window, to make sure it's safe to reverse, looking out for pedestrians, cyclists and other drivers. It's safe, so I'm now reversing slowly in a straight line, looking all around, especially over my left shoulder, out of the rear window, until I get to the point of turn. The target bay I'm turning into is this one. It's the third bay along, this being the first bay, the second, and then the third. I've stopped here as this is my important point of turn. It's when I need to start steering. I'm using the first line of the first bay as a reference point. To help you remember, you can see how the line would continue into the car. It's near this little speaker. This point of turn can vary depending on what car you're driving, your height and seat position, but it will be something similar. When you look at the reference point, don't lean forward or to the side, otherwise your reference point will change every time you do it, which we don't want. If you sit closer to the steering wheel, then your point of turn might look like this. Make sure that you observe all around before steering left, because the front of the car will swing out and we need to make sure it's safe. Stop if anyone gets near you, but continue if it's safe to do so. As soon as I move, I'll steer full lock, maximum to the left. Steering quickly, but driving slowly as it really makes it easier, observing all around, especially over my left shoulder out of the rear window. As soon as you're straight and in the bay, you'll notice as the front of your car will run parallel with something in front of you, in this case the curb opposite, or you'll see something similar in the rear window, you will need to straighten your steering. This is between 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 turns to the right, depending on your car. Reverse slowly, but steer quickly. Look over your left shoulder and then over your right shoulder. When this white line, which is sometimes a curb or bottom of a wall, disappears into the door pillar roughly around here, stop. Also, the line at the front should look like it goes just under the mirror. Parking brake on and select neutral. You are allowed to open your car door on a driving test as long as it's safe, to make sure that you've parked within the lines. If you see a lot of space between the car and the white line like this, then you're probably over the line on the left. Don't worry though, because we can drive forward and correct it. It will probably be a driving fault on your test, or a minor as they're commonly called, but at least you won't get a serious fault, which it would be if you leave it out of the bay or on a white line. Before moving forward and correcting it, I'll have a quick look around to make sure it's safe first. Now I'll move forward slowly, steer right to get the front over, just a little, as I wasn't out of the bay much, so I don't want to overdo it. Now steer left to get the car straight. You will know when the car is straight because the front of your car will be running parallel with something in front of you. When it is, straighten the wheels back to the right a little. Now I'll stop and select reverse. If it helps, you can move the side mirror down a little to see the line of the bay you're going into. You can move both mirrors down if you want, But be careful not to stare at the mirrors, as you need to be aware of who's around you, especially who's behind. I've checked all around, including the rear window, and it's safe to reverse. Keeping it straight, and as long as I'm close to this line, the other side of the car will be in the bay too. Don't forget to keep checking around for others, including the rear window, and stop if anyone gets near you, but continue if it's safe. Don't forget to stop when you see the line, or the curb, or the bottom of the wall disappear into the car roughly around here, although it might look slightly different in your car. The line at the front will look like it just goes under the mirror. Make sure it's safe, open the car door, and it looks a lot closer to the line, so I'm definitely in the bay. If you're really far from the line on your right, then you'll have to move forward and steer left. Then right to straighten the car up. Once the front of the car is running parallel with something in front of you, straighten the wheels a little to the left. Again, the side mirror will help, as you'll be able to see if you're straight and lined up with the nearest line. Now I just need to reverse straight, observing around for others. So that's how to reverse into a bay on the left. Of course, there might not be any available bays on the left to reverse into. So let's have a quick look at how to reverse into a bay on the right. Try and start the same distance away from the bays every time you do it, or your reference point when to turn will change. I've selected reverse gear, observed all around, including the rear window, and now I'm just reversing back slowly until I get to my point of turn. As we did before to the left, the target bay I'm turning into is this one. It's the third bay along, this being the first bay, the second, and then the third. This is when I need to start steering. I'm going to be using the first line of the first bay as a reference point. You can see how this line disappears into the car. Don't forget that this point of turn can vary depending on what car you're driving and your height. If you sit closer to the steering wheel, then your point of turn might look like this. Make sure that you observe all around the car before steering right, as the front of the car will swing out, and we need to make sure it's safe. As soon as I move, I'll steer full lock, maximum to the right. Drive slowly as it really makes it easier, but steer quickly, observing all around, not forgetting to also look over my left shoulder out of the rear window. Stop if anyone gets near you, but continue if it's safe. As soon as you see the front of your car running parallel with something in front of you, in this case the curb opposite, or you're to see something similar in the rear window, you will need to straighten your steering. This is between 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 turns to the left, depending on your car. Move the car slowly, keep observing around as it's so important, looking over your left shoulder and your right shoulder, and when this white line, which can sometimes be a curb or bottom of a wall, disappears into the door pillar roughly around here, stop. Don't forget you can open your door to check you're in the bay as long as the car is secure and it's safe. And you're allowed to move your side mirror or mirrors down if it helps. If you're over the line or there's a bit too much space between the car and the white line, then check around. If it's safe, drive forward and then reverse back in to correct it. It'll probably be a driving fault, but at least you won't get a serious fault and foul. You must constantly observe around though to make sure it's safe. Well, that's how you reverse bay park using the 90-degree method. But if you don't like it, then have a look at our other video where we reverse bay park using the 45-degree method, as you might prefer it. As usual, thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe for our latest videos if you haven't already, as it really helps us make more. For free driving tips and reference points for the other driving test manoeuvres, take a look at our website. It's completely free. A big thanks to everyone that's bought us virtual coffees. Good luck if you have a driving test coming up soon, and bye for now.